I used to think confidence was an attractive trait. Until I met Marissa. She had this way of walking into a room like everyone else had been waiting for her. Maybe that's what drew me in the first place, a kind of reckless charm. But what I didn't know was that behind that charm lived a person who believed the world spun just a little faster whenever she snapped her fingers. It all started at a backyard get-together hosted by our mutual friends, Ellie and Rowan. I had been dating Marissa for almost 6 months at that point, long enough to start seeing tiny cracks in her queen-of-the-world persona, but not long enough to understand how deep they went. That night, she was surrounded by her usual circle, her friends. Lennox, Tessa, Juniper, and Sasha. They were sipping wine, laughing loudly, and leaning into her as if she were the sun granting them warmth. I walked over just as Marissa flicked her hair over her shoulder and let out a smug laugh. "Please," she said. "I don't even stress about relationships. Men line up for me. Always have." There was something in her tone, sharp, dismissive, and proud in a way that didn't feel innocent. The group laughed, nodding like disciples. I should have walked away. Instead, I forced a smile. "You think so?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She smirked. "Oh, absolutely. Men adore me. They always chase. I mean, look around. If you're already hooked by this moment, make sure to like the video so this story can reach more people who love intense real-life drama." I didn't want to cause a scene, especially not in front of our friends. But the arrogance in her eyes made something inside me settle, like a switch flipping. I looked at her friends, all suddenly quiet, watching us with narrowed eyes. "All right," I said slowly. "Then maybe you can explain something." She raised a brow, clearly expecting me to flatter her or perhaps back down. But I didn't. "You said men line up for you," I continued. "Funny. Because I know all their names." Her smile faltered. Just a little. Just enough. Lennox shifted in her seat. Tessa's wine glass paused midair. Juniper blinked twice, her lips pressing into a thin line. Sasha looked at the ground as if it suddenly had something very interesting to say. Marissa leaned in, trying to regain control. "Oh? And what names do you think you know, Lucas?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even look at Marissa. I looked directly at her friends. "Evan," I said quietly. "Marcus. Theo. Jared. And Noah." Their faces. God, if I could paint the moment, the canvas would scream. Every single one of them went pale at the same time, like a synchronized wave of dread smashing through the group. Marissa's eyes widened, not with guilt, but with shock that I dared to say it. Because those weren't random names. Those were their husbands. Before we go further, tell me in the comments, would you have exposed her right there, or kept quiet until later? I'm curious what you'd do in my place. The silence that followed was thick enough to taste. I could see the slow realization spreading across the group like wildfire. Lennox's jaw tightened as she whispered, "Please tell me you're joking, Lucas." But I wasn't. I had found the messages 2 weeks earlier, screen recordings of late-night chats, saved photos, voice notes. None of them were physical affairs, but they were intimate enough to break any marriage in half. Marissa had been bored, and boredom for her meant entertainment at the expense of people who trusted her. She played with attention like it was currency, and she collected it from anywhere she could, including from her friends' husbands. I didn't intend to reveal it that night, but hearing her boast, seeing the way she belittled respect and loyalty, something inside me refused to stay silent. Marissa tried to laugh it off. "Lucas, come on. You're being dramatic." But her voice trembled, and her friends noticed. Juniper's face flushed a deep red. "What messages, Lucas?" she demanded. Marissa shot me a warning look, the kind she used when she wanted me to comply, like a dog responding to a command. But the spell was broken. "Should I?" I asked quietly, looking at each of them. "Should I tell them what she's been sending?" Tessa's voice cracked. "Tell us." Marissa reached out to grab my wrist, her fake calm dissolving. "Lucas, don't." "No," Sasha whispered. "Let him speak." For the first time that night, Marissa wasn't the center of attention. The truth was, Type the word truth in the comments if you believe secrets like this always come out eventually. Their eyes were on me, their breaths held, their hands shaking. And for the first time since I met Marissa, she panicked. Marissa's panic didn't look dramatic. It wasn't loud or chaotic. It was subtle, her lips tightening, her eyes darting between her friends, her breath catching just enough for guilt to become visible. She had built her world on confidence, ego, and reckless charm. But now the foundation beneath her was cracking loud enough for everyone to hear. "Lucas, please," she whispered. "You're misunderstanding everything." But her friends weren't buying it anymore. Lennox leaned forward. "Show us." That was the one sentence Marissa feared the most. I pulled my phone from my pocket, slowly, deliberately, giving her one last chance to come clean on her own. But Marissa stayed frozen, her expression shifting from fear to calculation, as if trying to decide which lie might save her. "It's nothing," she said weakly. "Just stupid flirting. I didn't mean anything by it." The way her friends reacted, it was like the air split open. "Flirting?" Juniper's voice shook. "With our husbands? Are you out of your mind?" Tessa hissed. "You think that makes it better?" Sasha whispered, tears forming at the edges of her lashes. Their shock wasn't loud. It was wounded, quiet, trembling. And in that moment, the loudest sound in the backyard was the truth swallowing the night whole. I opened the message thread with Evan, Lennox's husband, and placed the phone on the table. The room or backyard didn't breathe for a full 3 seconds. Her flirty texts, her midnight selfies, her "don't tell the girls" winky face messages, her voice notes about how Lucas is too serious. I need someone fun. Lennox covered her mouth with both hands, her shoulders shaking. Marissa lunged for the phone, but Juniper grabbed her wrist. "Don't even try." For someone who believed men lined up for her, she never considered what would happen when women turned against her. If you've ever seen a moment where truth shattered a fake image, share this story. Someone else might need the courage to stand up for themselves too. Marissa tried again, her voice cracking now. "It didn't mean anything. I swear. It was all harmless. Just fun. They messaged me first." "They're married," Tessa snapped. "We're married. You were supposed to be our friend." "Friends don't do this," Sasha murmured, wiping her eyes. "Friends don't steal validation from the people they pretend to love." Marissa looked at me then, really looked at me, as if expecting me to defend her, to soften the blow. But I was done being the quiet, understanding boyfriend who swallowed every red flag. "All this time," I said calmly, "you told me I wasn't enough. You mocked me for being loyal. You bragged about attention from strangers. But you weren't collecting attention from strangers, Marissa. You were collecting it from the people closest to you." She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. "This isn't about confidence," I continued. "This is desperation. And it's cruel." Her friends stared at her like they didn't even know the woman standing in front of them. Maybe they didn't. Maybe she didn't know herself either. Marissa finally broke. "Please, don't leave me. You're the only one who understands me." I shook my head. "No. I'm the only one who tolerated the parts of you that hurt everyone else." Tessa stood up abruptly. "I'm calling Marcus. Tonight." Lennox wiped her face. "Evan owes me answers." Juniper whispered, "Theo is going to be devastated." Sasha stared hollowly. "Jared will deny it, but he won't lie to me. Not after this." Marissa's world, built on flirtation and bragging rights, collapsed in front of her. Not with a dramatic scream, but with 4 women silently walking away from her, heading inside the house to call their husbands. When they disappeared, she turned back to me. "You did this," she hissed. "You ruined everything." "No," I said gently. "You did. I just stopped protecting the version of you that only existed in your head." And then I walked away, quiet, steady, without theatrics, because the truth didn't need volume. It needed clarity. As I reached the driveway, my phone buzzed. A message from Lennox. "Thank you. Not for exposing Marissa, not for humiliating anyone, but for refusing to let a lie live longer than it deserved." And somehow, that message meant more than anything Marissa ever said to me. Before you scroll, tell me honestly, do you think emotional cheating counts as real betrayal? Comment your thoughts. I'm curious where you stand. I got into my car and sat in silence for a long moment. Not sad, not angry, just relieved, like I had finally stepped out of a room with no oxygen. I didn't expose Marissa to be a hero. I did it because truth has a habit of suffocating in silence, until someone lets the window open. Maybe we weren't meant to be together. Maybe she wasn't meant to be anyone's partner until she learned the difference between attention and affection. And maybe I wasn't meant to keep seeing myself through her arrogance. As I drove home, I thought about everything that happened, and instead of regret, I felt free. If this story made you feel something, anger, relief, validation, anything, make sure to like, answer the question in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that explore real emotions, real boundaries, and real people.